Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Akhil. I'm VP for Solutions for Royal Cyber, and we have this webinar scheduled for today where we'll be discussing more about V7 to V9 migration. This webinar is in continuity to our previous webinars where we try to bring forward or showcase what's new in version 9 so that you guys can have a better understanding and plan your migrations going forward. We have put up a plan together, like for new customers, existing customers who either are sitting on older versions of Watson Commerce or version 7, and they really want to understand how the whole migration process will go through, so that they can make an informed decision. And anywhere we can help throughout the webinar. If you have any questions, you can please ask those questions, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my knowledge. Quickly, a quick introduction. Anyone who doesn't know who Royal Cyber is, we are IBM Premier Partner based out of Naperville, Illinois, and present in 9 different countries with development offices in Naperville and India. And we have been with Watson Commerce for the last 15 years. And we do a lot of R&D as well. And we try to share that R&D with our customers in terms of webinars so that we can share the knowledge. And in the process, we try to keep abreast with what's happening latest in the market. So quickly moving forward with the webinar, what we have as an agenda is the approach, the migration approach that we propose, what the plan looks like, what are the checklists that we should be checking our plan against, what considerations we should keep in mind, what are the limitations when you're thinking about the V9 migration. And towards the end, I'll take any questions that you have. In between also, you can reach out and I'll try to answer them. So whenever we talk about migration, let's first try to understand what a migration is. So whenever we talk about migration for the business stakeholders, what it looks like is more quantitative, like something that they can put a number against. So let's say the business users would be talking about like migrating 100,000 users, 1 million products. So something which they can substantiate, something that is quantitative. So that is how it seems to the business stakeholders when they start talking about migration. So what is not visible to them is the whole thought process, the planning, reorganization, or the transformation that is required or will be required to move their current customizations or integrations to the new platform. So that is the piece where we try to make you guys aware of how complex or how easy it can be, so you can make that informed decision. And hopefully by the end of the webinar, you guys would be in a position to do so. So again, migration. When we talk about migration, it might be a move from your on-prem setup to a cloud or SaaS. Maybe that's what you guys have been thinking for a long time, and that can be a migration. A migration can be moving from an older version of a platform to a new version, like version 7 to version 9 in this case. And it can also be an upgrade. So let's say if you're sitting on even on latest version 9 and IBM releases an upgrade or update in terms of fixed pack, feature pack. So implementing that can constitute a migration too. But generally, based on our experience, when we talk about migration, we keep all these 3 different aspects into picture and present to the customer so that we can fulfill all of their requirements. So saying it in a single line, it might encapsulate all these 3 different areas as part of migration. And that's what we are going to use in terms of the solutions that we are proposing. So talking about V9 migration, what we are suggesting or what we are proposing to our customers is two migration paths. One is a platform migration, which in simple terms I would say lift and shift. So let's say you are currently on version 7, or even if you are on an older store, what you have migrated to version 7 in the past, you'll simply pick up your store and place it on version 9, so that you do not really have to worry about the version 7 support going off in April 2019. So that will, and then it will give you ample time to slowly and steadily plan your rest of customizations that you currently have with version 7. And how you can move them to version 9, taking advantage of all the options that are available to you, like XC or Docker functionality, and so that you can plan it in a better way, and you do not have to worry about your future migrations. The second one is reimplementation. I'm using the term reimplementation instead of migration because IBM is only providing version 9 the jQuery Aurora store, which was originally part of the version 8.0.4.5. So it was not available before that. So going forward in version 9, IBM has only kept this store as the main storefront. So irrespective of what store you are on, if you're on version 7, we'll have to move. So we'll have to move your code from the existing storefront to the jQuery storefront. And there are a lot of advantages which have apparently been very visible last year. So we had the privilege of moving 3 customers to jQuery Store. And looking at the performance, one of the customers already live, Augusta Sportswear. So if you want to go and check out their site, you can totally see the difference that the jQuery brings. It makes the whole experience very fluid for the customers, irrespective of what kind of load is there on the site, whether it's a peak holiday season or it's a regular timings. You can see the fluidity on the site. It translates from one page to another very smoothly. You do not have any glitches, and even when it's too much load, you can get the response, less errors, so on and so forth. So we can definitely see those changes, and that's probably one of the reasons why it is the only store that is available on version 9. And having said that, I want to highlight that as well, that we already have experience of 3 implementations under our belt. So we really understand what challenges there can be when you're moving from a version 7 platform to version 9. So we already have those challenges marked out, which can really help us give you a quicker time to the market, so on and so forth. And it will also cover if you are planning to move to cloud. IBM has been, as you see at the latest reports, last year IBM in Q4 has been the main cloud service provider. So they had the most amount of business. And the whole year 2017, they have been neck to neck with Amazon. So IBM has actually brought up their SaaS and cloud platform to the level where it can give you give you a really good platform where you can build your applications to your platform on for the long road ahead, that lies ahead for all of us. So and thanks to excellent marketing and excellent pricing, I think that's a very good choice at this stage. And if you're already planning to move to version 9, if you're sitting on prem, I think that's a very good option to take. And you can always reach out to IBMers. You can let us know in case you want to know more about the cloud offering, and we'll be more than happy to help you with that. Moving quickly forward, irrespective of which migration path we take, we have broken down in 3 main phases. One is the planning phase, the second one is the practice phase, and then is the production migration phase. So during the planning phase, it's more about planning the whole migration, where we sit with you share your stakeholders with us. We sit with the stakeholders, we discuss current enhancements, requirements, new requirements, anything related to infrastructure, and then we do a fit gap analysis. Once that fit gap analysis has been completed, we start with moving your local environments to the new version. So when I say local environments, that would be your development toolkit, that would be your dev environment, integration environment, test server. So this would be your local. So you start experimenting or start moving that to version 9 first. You'll definitely face challenges, but we resolve those challenges in case there's a dead end or something. We work with IBM. It's a new platform, so there can be some new things as well. But the good thing is, like, thanks to IBM support and the experience that we already have with the jQuery store, we'll resolve them, move the developer toolkit, and then we'll move the test server as well. So usually, as part of the planning phase, we sit with your stakeholders. We make a list of all the enhancements you currently have on your current platform. We make a list of all the new requirements that you might have as part of the future roadmap. We also take into account any of the infrastructure requirements. Maybe you are on-prem, you want to move to the cloud. You're already on cloud, you want to expand. You are already on cloud, but you want to experience or get a taste of SaaS. So we can talk about all of those, make a list out of it, then do a fit gap analysis. And when we say fit gap analysis, we compare all those requirements, integrations, and see what is available in version 9. So maybe a lot of your enhancements or customizations that were done on V7 can be fulfilled by some out-of-the-box functionality that is available on V9. Some of the functionalities might be discontinued or depreciated by IBM, and IBM might not support that going forward. But Royal Cyber might be able to replace them with some of the add-ons or widgets or accelerators that we have built. So we can replace them, and then we can provide support on the same as well. So this is what constitutes the fit gap analysis. So after the fit gap, we will be in a position to give you estimates on how exactly the migration would look like in terms of cost and effort. And also we'll have a high-level migration plan, so everyone is in the know on what's to be expected. So once the planning phase is done, and the team that constitute the planning phase from the Royal Cyber side would be a project manager, a solution architect, a database administrator. And ever since the V9 was launched, since we do a lot of R&D as well, so we already have a pool of developers, commerce developers, who have experience on XE architecture. We already moved our add-ons to XE. So we know what the challenges are. XE, when I say XE, not all the out-of-the-box commands are available on the new platform. IBM would be releasing them gradually, but they have already started with a good list, which kind of covers all the use cases, major use cases on the site. So we'll have this guidance available to you where we'll tell you which of the customizations can be moved at this stage and which customizations we have to plan for the rest of the year. So it has to be play and trace until IBM releases all the out of the box commands on XE. So we can take advantage of that technology. So we'll have those guys part of the team so that we can move in the right direction. And also what we make sure is like all the environments that the customer has should be on the same level, fix pack, feature pack, so that we do not find any issues on one platform that we haven't found on another one. We'll make sure that we have access to all the knowledge that we need to, like usernames, passwords, access to wiki, access to all the CR documents, so we understand exactly what has happened on the current platform and document them properly as part of the fit gap analysis. And once this analysis is complete and we come to a conclusion that we have to move forward, the next phase would be the practice phase, where, as you can see in the diagram, we have to move from the current platform to the new platform. So as part of that, we'll start with the developer toolkit. We'll start following IBM best practices. And in order to achieve that, we have to make sure that if you're on version 7, we are at least on feature pack 8. So let's say if you're not on feature pack 8, then first we have to put in an effort to move you from the previous feature pack to feature pack 8. And one of the main reasons to do that is then we can use IBM scripts which are available to us. IBM has provided a number of scripts which constitute the best practices in order to have a very clear or smooth transition from version 7 to version 9, and we want to adhere to that. So if there are any, let's say if there's a sitting on a feature pack 5, and we can still evaluate and see how much value we have in terms of moving to feature pack 8 and then to version 9. So that's again from customer to customer basis, but as a best practice, we have to move to feature pack 8 first, and then we'll be moving to version 9. So we'll find challenges, we'll fix them. We already have a wiki constituted based on our existing experience with the JCode store. So if we face any new challenges, we try to resolve them with the IBM support as well. And once that is done, we'll start working on the test environment. So again, the challenges would be different since the environment is different, but we already have that experience. And in case we are stuck, we always have IBM support to work through by raising PMRs, working on them, and resolving those issues. And at this stage, if I have to do a quick apples to apples comparison, so I have on my left hand side the developer toolkit for version 7, and on the right side for version 9. So the database pretty much looks the same, with the exception that we have to make sure that we have to upgrade it to at least version 11.1.2.2 for DB2. And for the rest of the architecture, on the left side, as you can see, we have a single application container which contains your EJB, stores, configuration files, management center, DSOs, and search server. With version 9, IBM has broken down this into modules. So like all these components are constituted with the transaction server itself. So IBM has separated transaction server, a store server separately, and your customization server separately, which means all your customizations would be sitting all together in a separate container. So you do not really have to worry about migrations in the future. So all your changes are sitting separately. It's very loosely coupled, which will make the whole management of the commerce platform a lot more easier. And we don't have to throw a lot of planning into it going beyond version 9. There's a few quick comparisons. So if you see the EJBs have to be converted to JPA. JPA is not a new technology. It's pretty old, I would say. But the fact that it's more efficient and it's about time we made that transition. So IBM would be providing us a script that we'll be using to convert all the EJBs you have on the current platform to JPA. You move your store files, whatever has been changed, configuration files can be moved. Management Center, we cannot do that because Management Center on version 7 was using OpenLazlo. On version 9, we are using HTML5. So any of the changes that you might have on the Management Center, they will have to be re-implemented again. So we'll have to redo those changes on the new platform. New platform is even more simpler. We have already changed or we have already moved our add-ons and widgets to the version 9, and it looks pretty straightforward. We can move the DSOs, your search server configuration, we can move that. An additional thing that we have here is the CI/CD pipeline. So IBM has allowed us to use open source technologies like Docker, Jenkins, so on and so forth, which we can make use of taking advantage of the CI/CD pipeline. So once all your code is available, you want to do a build and deploy using the new WCB script, we can even create a Docker container out of it and simply copy and paste that Docker container across all the server instances that you might have. So making it a lot easier and quicker for us to have those changes implemented across all the application instances. A quick look at the developer environment, the production environment. So as you can see in version 7, we had 4 containers, commerce application, web server, search web server, and search server. With version 9, we'll have close to 7, sorry. So you have your transaction servers sitting separately, and all the code that you have migrated sitting in a separate instance of a transaction server. You have your web server changes, store web server changes sitting separately, your store server sitting separately, your search server, customization server, and also the utility server. So the utility server here hosts all the applications that we have in terms of managing the commerce, like Accelerator, Org Admin, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the database will need to be upgraded to 11.1.2.2. Another advantage that IBM has put forward here is like while you are transitioning from version 7 to version 9, your remote servers like production staging, we can do a rolling update in the sense like once you have a version 9 server available, using the load balancer, we can have it point to the older database, so you can still continue to serve your customers. And once you have the new database available, again using the load balancer, you can switch it to the new database, and your customers will never see the downtime. Worst case scenario, they might see a glitch or two for a second or something, but that should be pretty much it. So it's pretty convenient, pretty straightforward, keeping into account that we should not be suffering any downtime out of this. And if I have to put everything in a all together, so this is how your whole transition or migration would look like. So you'll be migrating your database, you'll be migrating your version 7 to feature pack 8 to make use of the scripts that IBM has made available. We'll be migrating the custom assets, converting EJBs to JPA, any of your store changes, your management center changes, site security changes, configuration files, migrate your search changes, any of the custom assets that we have, we'll deploy them on the VG9 environment. We'll create the custom containers if you want to use Dockers. And then during the migration, we'll have this transition from older database to new database for version 7. I have to put that into a simple graph, so it might help you guys. So let's say the question is still in version 7. If the answer is no, that you're already on version 8, then it's very straightforward for you. Keeping in mind that you should be on the jQuery store. If you're not on the jQuery store, then obviously you'll have to migrate to the jQuery store to take advantage of complete V9 enhancements. If you're still on 7, then we have to first upgrade you to feature pack 8 and database to 11.1.2.2. And then the question is like, are you using the commerce search? If the answer is no, then first we have to make sure that the existing search mechanism we recreate using the attribute dictionary. Once that is done, we can move to the next step. The next step asks if we have any CMC or customizations. If the answer is no, then it's no brainer. We can move forward. If yes, then we'll have to recreate those as well using HTML5. Then we'll go through the additional functionalities that IBM is providing on version 9, what has been discontinued, what has been depreciated. Compare that as part of a fit gap analysis. We can plan to choose version 8 as the base for the DB and code preparations, which is not necessary though. And once that is done, we'll migrate to version 9, do regression testing, and then we can go live with it. Checklist. So one point that I have repeated so many times is like once we have all the enhancements of the current integration listed out, we have to compare them religiously with what is available new on version 9, what has been depreciated, what has been discontinued, so that we can do a right fit gap, like what can be moved to version 9, what needs to be moved to version 9, and what needs to be phased out in the following phases, so that we can take full advantage of the new enhancements like XC, Docker, and so on and so forth. All the new business requirements have to be taken into account as well. Any custom scripts that we might be using for build and deploy or data load has to be taken into account. Developer environment, if we have any customizations there, so we have to take care of that. Any application code, any build processes, any testing frameworks that we might be using on version 7, we have to take them into account. So taking all of these things into account, we have to, this will be really crucial when you're coming through the planning phase and coming to estimate on how much it will cost and how much time would be required for the migration. So it will really help you with that. Some of the considerations that IBM will not have any of the legacy stores supported as part of V9. When I say supported, it does not have any of the old stores. We can still do lift and shift, but like to take advantage of the version 9, we'll have to re-implement and convert all the existing code into jQuery Roller storefront, so that you can take advantage of the new platform and the new architecture. It does not support 32-bit architecture anymore. So let's say if you are currently on-prem and you're using 32-bit, we can still make use of Docker technology to replicate it. However, if you are not on 32-bit, that there is nothing to worry about here. IBM will not be supporting Oracle and Derby with version 9. No one used Derby as production anyways, but Oracle was a popular choice. So if you are using Oracle right now, we might have to talk about moving you guys to DB2 first and then do the V9 migration. Sales Center is no longer available with the V9. It's not compatible. But thankfully, with version 8, IBM released a very extensive set of features on the CSR module, which can enable you to buy on behalf, lock shopping carts, work with the customers on the phone while you can look into their shopping cart, add products, remove products, do a complete checkout, so on and so forth. It's pretty extensive tool set that is already available to us, and that has been extended to version 9, which can replace the Sales Center functionality. IBM Gift Center is not available, but we at Royal Cyber we already have a module that we have built based on the wish list functionality, which will be available to our customers so that they can replicate the Gift Center functionality. Extreme Scale, it's not officially agreed on, but IBM will be supporting Extreme Scale. So if you're already using Extreme Scale on your infrastructure, it would be compatible with version 9. Express Edition will not be available, professional and enterprise only, and ATP will not be supported. IBM will not be just totally cutting it off right now immediately, but as a long-term plan, idea is to move all the customers who are using ATP to order management, so which is another excellent product from IBM. So that would be long-term. So if you are on ATP, you can continue to use it, but it has to move to order management platform in the longer roadmap. Limitations. So if we are planning to use Dockers, we have to make sure that we are using OS which supports a Docker. If so, we have to make that choice right at the beginning itself. IBM has broken down the whole structure into different modules. So now your Migrate store would be running on the transaction server and not on the application server as it was previously. So we should be aware of those changes. There are many advantages to it, obviously, but it's quite a change. Again, EJBs will not be supported in version 9. So we have to make sure that we convert all our existing EJBs to JPA. Again, IBM has provided an excellent script to do it. So we should not be worried about it. We already use a script. It works perfectly. So we have no issues there. That kind of brings me to the end of the migration discussion, but I do have a small video that I want to showcase on how easy it is now to have the V9 environment created with the Dockers. So if you guys had worked on the implementation or installation of the server environment, you would be aware that you have to log into your partner word account. You have to download all the images. You have to make sure you have right versions. You follow a defined path so that you can install all those in an order, and which could have taken anywhere from 4 hours to a whole day. But with Docker, all you got to do is you need to download the Docker images. Obviously, you need to install a DB2 because that does not come into a Docker container. So you have to install DB2. Make sure that you update the configuration parameters to connect to the DB2 within the Docker images, and you just have to launch the images, and your store will be up and running. So just pretty much straightforward 9 steps. And if you do it right, you can achieve in less than 1 hour. Obviously, download speeds would vary depending on from where you're downloading, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So I'll quickly jump through the video. It's a 5-minute video, but I'll just quickly go through the screens to showcase. Okay, this is where you're installing Docker to begin with on your server environment, and then you downloaded all the images. There are close to 6 images that you need to download. You unzip them. You'll make the configuration changes once you have installed DB2, so that it has the right URL for the DB2 it need to connect with and the password. Once that is done, so this is your creation of the password, creation of the database. You install DB2. Now you have to create the database, and then you have to create the container for the base images. So this you are still setting up the database here. Now you are trying to load your Docker. Once all your images are loaded, you're going to go to try to access the site. These are all your images once extracted, and how they look like as Docker container images. So you just launch them. So as you can see, none of them are up right now. So one by one, we'll be launching all these Docker images. And once they're launched, your site is up. And the good thing here is, like, if you remember previously, if your search is not working, if your Solo is not working, your site would be down. But with version 9, even if your search is not up or your search Docker container is not up, your site would still work. You can still do a complete end-to-end checkout. So, which is, pretty robust, I would say, and pretty straightforward and very convenient. So that kind of brings me towards the end of the migration plan. If you have any questions, you can please ask me, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. You can also reach out later after this webinar. We will also have the video made available on Royal Cyber site, just in case you want to go back and check out something. And you can always reach out to us in case you have any questions, and we will be more than happy to answer. We do have an assessment package, so in case you want us to assess how much time and money would be required for your migration, please let us know. It's a 2-week to 3-week assessment package, and which will help you guys make a very informed decision. As you all know that we do not really have much time before version 7 support goes off. So yeah, so you can make use of our experience and our skills, and you will be more than happy to apply. Thank you so much. I don't see any questions, so I'll request the admin to end the call. And thank you so much again for joining this call during the afternoon, and looking forward to having more webinars with you guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.